Well, good evening and welcome back to IRL's Twitch channel. As always, every Tuesday we got a brand new week of streams for you. And some good news is we will be crowning our no assist tier 1 champion here tonight for not only the drivers but the constructors too. So double reason to stay tuned here tonight, but also because it is our season finale this week. This is the final race of the season and the championship has gone down to the wire. AMS Fairley is leading 275 points at the top of the championship. Ross is 24 points behind, so it is a big order here for Ross to win this championship. Fairley needs a 9th place at a bare minimum to take it to overall race wins. That is if Ross wins, of course. Anything else but a win and Ross cannot claim the championship. It has all gone down to the final race of the season and we are anticipating a great race, not only in general between all of these drivers, some of which we're still waiting for, but between Ross and Fairley. It's been a very up and down season for a lot of these drivers. Plenty of DNFs. I'll try and get you a stat on if anyone hasn't managed to DNF all season. I think Dr. Edward, who unfortunately can't make it with us tonight, has only had 2 DNFs all season and has only failed to start in two of the races as well. So he's been very consistent. Ross has only had 3 DNFs all season and 2 non-starts. Prev also only 3 DNFs the whole season. Some very interesting scenarios would have happened if those DNFs didn't happen. But here we are. Hello, Mr. Wiggles. Hope you're well. Of course, racing in the Haas and has a red bar on my screen. Don't know if that's just me or if anyone else, but it's been a very interesting season. Of course, it would have been very different if Hoike had made any of the last 10 races. Unfortunately, his work schedule means that he can't finish the season, but he was definitely looking in a strong position to be up there challenging for the title, which has allowed AMS Fairley to romp ahead. Hasn't made the last 4 races, but is here for the finale and is in the chat, so good luck to you and to Ross tonight. As for the constructors, it's Mercedes versus Alpine. Mercedes 410 points, Alpine 404 points. Both last week scoring 33 points in Jeddah. So only 6 points separates Mercedes and Alpine at the top of the championship. Battle for third is also pretty tasty. Alfa Romeo, 298 points. Ferrari, 294 points. So 4 points separating the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari, the two Ferrari-powered vehicles. It's been a great season. Absolutely mad season. Not only for the no assist tier, not only for assist tier 1, assist tier 2, but collectively, since the 12th of October, since this season started, and now, so mid-February, we have a whopping 286 followers on Twitch for the streams. That's 300 followers in about 4 months. That is absolutely incredible. It's about 100 followers a month. No, less than that. My maths is terrible today. Tamino, hello mate. Hope you're well. Couple of minutes till we get going. Big announcement is coming right now, so brace yourself. For the first time ever in this league's very long history, we will be doing an award stream. For the first time ever. We have a series of awards that management have collated. Some of them a little bit more silly to make it a bit more entertaining, some of them very serious. And your votes are required. The way you vote is you tune into the stream on Thursday the 3rd of March, so not this Thursday coming, but the Thursday after. And we will give you a series of things to vote on. And your votes will decide who gets what award. So pop that one in the diary. Thursday the 3rd of March we're going to have an awards stream. And in the next two or three weeks, the management the league will be deciding a number of things for next season. It will be a shorter season before the new game comes out in, we're expecting July time. So keep your eyes on Discord, specifically announcements page. I'm sure that's where a lot of the new info is going to be dropping in the next week or two. Of course, we will have a reveal stream as well in preparation for the next season of racing, where we don't have a confirmed date yet, but we will be looking at who has signed up for seats, full-time seats, and we'll be awarding you your cars, decided at random, I'm sure. So tune in, if you are planning on racing next season, tune in for the reveal stream. And now is an appropriate time to say thank you to all management, especially Ross and Padge, for spearheading a lot of what has happened this season in terms of league organisation, getting drivers into the league. We've had some great additions, most notably Ryan in the McLaren there. He's been a great addition this season. And Clements as well. He's a newcomer for this year, but has more than proved himself already. Of course, it takes 20 people to make a race, so we thank you and salute you all for your incredible work on the track. But for those in management, obviously it's not easy running a league, so we tip our hats to you this evening. And hello to you, Flu, in the chat. So for the final time, we start Q1, 16 strong, so it will be a decisive Q1. What you don't want to do is crash out of this session, because then everyone else doesn't have to push at all. If they don't want to, they can just trundle on through with a nice leisurely lap time and still make it through to the next part of qualifying. And we're not expecting any rain because we're in the Middle East and rain is a bit more scarce out there than here in lovely England. And no rain on our screens. Oh, Dayman, you're too kind, mate. You're too kind. Thank you very much. It takes the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a load of management to run a league. So I appreciate the sentiments, but I quickly defer those and pass them on to the whole management team. Still awaiting the first car out on track, and it is going to be Mr. Wiggles. Quite fitting, Mr. Wiggles last week even, on Thursday night at Jeddah, claiming his first race victory of the season. In the 5-minute break, I'll be running down a list of everyone who has won a race this season, everyone who's got a pole position, and everyone who's got a podium next to their name. It should be a very long list, but sort of my way of paying homage to all of you guys who have done some incredible racing this season. Oh, how cool, Assassin, says my dad is Martin, still the best Twitch handle I can possibly think of. That's a great name. Is your dad actually called Martin though? That's the question. Who will you think at pole position? Well, as part of this this division, we have all season seen a great battle for pole position between AMS Fairley and his teammate in Mercedes, SLR Connor. So those two would be a good shout for pole. Let's not count out Ross. Hasn't got many pole positions to his name, but he always has insane race pace. So if we don't see Ross get on pole here, it's not the end of the world. Good evening to you, Alrace. And thank you for the follow, Levi. Levi Woolsey77, thank you very much. Rapidly approaching 300 followers in 4 months. If we could hit the 300 mark by the end of the week on Sunday night for our final stream of the season, that would be absolutely incredible. Thank you all for your follows. Thank you all for your support. If you are following and you're not quite in the mood to chat, that's absolutely fine, but we don't bite here. We're a nice chill bunch on the stream, and we'd love to hear from you. Again, if you want to race in this league, send us a whisper on Twitch. If you don't know how to do that, then message IIRL Padge on Facebook. Xbox. Gosh, don't message him on Facebook. I don't even know what Padge's Facebook is, so yeah, don't message him on Facebook. But yeah, if you want to race, there are spaces, and we would love to see what you can do. You don't have to be 18 years or older, just a slight catch on this league, but we only do that to make the league a nice sensible place. So then Mr. Wiggles' first flying lap was invalidated. Now on a second run. Of course, we don't have the track layout changes on this game, unfortunately. I'm sure we all would have liked the altered track. So unfortunately not on this game. Fingers crossed for the new game, of course. Wiggles getting a nice little slipstream there from Tidy as Bear. We call that a tidy slipstream. And Williams getting some heat in the tyres in front of him. Ross, fastest lap so far. 1 minute 36.4 is the benchmark. Using the medium compound tyres, Flew is on a 37.6, so 1.2 seconds down at the moment. Still plenty of time left in the session to go quicker. Cool Assassin also using the mediums, he's done a 39.7. Still early days. Track very green, of course. Ryan 37.0 on the medium tyres too. Mr. Wiggles comes around to set a valid lap time, a 1 minute 38.7. That guy first of the soft runners that we've seen out on track here tonight, and that is an invalid lap time from him. Coming slow, coming round to start a new lap. Bit of a wiggle there through the very long turn 3. Very easy to gain and lose time on this track. It's a, as you can tell, it's a long lap time with a lot of corners. So very easy to make a mistake in at least one of the corners on your flying lap, which means that nailing the track in quali can be tricky. So pole position will go to whoever gets no mistakes out of their lap time. Saw Kemet's there just running over that entry curb on the left hand side of your screen. Can actually get invalidated if you run over that too much, so little fractions, drivers trying to make the track as wide as possible, try and gain as much time. But even the smallest of margins can lead to an invalidated lap time. Three of the 5 runners to set a lap time have just gone into the pits. Mr. Wiggles has gone quicker. And Kemments slots himself into second. Actually, no, that's Cool Assassin. Sorry, has gone quicker. And I think Mr. Wiggles too has gone quicker as well. Hyper's on an invalid one. He'll go for another round in a minute. I think there'll be a lot of penalties in the race. I think you're probably right there. Here comes Ripley and slots himself 1 millisecond behind Flew, currently sat in 8th place. So here's that guy in the Aston Martin. Soft tyres are his weapon of choice and invalidates. Prev, meanwhile, medium tyres on his car. He goes 5 milliseconds behind his teammate. So maybe those mediums aren't quite firing up in the way that certain people would like. Of course, we do know the soft tyres are faster than the mediums in qualifying. On board now with our championship leader. Needs a 9th place or higher to claim the championship. If he gets 9th and Ross wins the race, they will be actually tied on points if Ross gets the fastest lap. So to categorically gain the championship, we're probably safe in saying that Fairley needs an 8th place or higher, which we all know he's capable of, but in this game, especially on this track, penalties are common, DNFs are quite common, anything can happen. So there is no guarantee here that Fairley's going to win. He's going to need to work hard, he's going to need to stay focused, be consistent, but all the pressure tonight is on Ross. He needs to win. If he doesn't win, he can't win the title. Fairley across the line, goes fastest on the medium tyres, 1 minute 36.0. See Hyper there, just getting ready to start a new lap. Go on board with Padge. Of course, this is just Q1. Doesn't matter if you're fastest or 10th fastest. All that matters is not being in 16th place. 16th place will be dropping out of Q1. SLR Connor, meanwhile, has gone fastest on the medium tyres too. So it could be a nice little fight for pole with the two Mercedes cars, as alluded to earlier. See what Padge can do. Has had a lot of wheel problems recently. Fingers crossed we don't get any of those tonight. It's always nice to see Padge doing well. Appy has improved his time to a 37.6, finds himself just behind Ripley, Flew and that guy. Very tight in the midfield there. You can see a 37.3 for Cool Assassin and a 37.6 for Appy. And that is 7 cars in that group. I believe Flew has just improved and gone up to 8th place now. So even more congestion in that midfield. Fairley goes fastest and again finds himself ahead of his teammate by a little under 100th of a second. Quite a common occurrence. Tidy is spare on an invalid lap, but I'm sure we'll go out for another run in a second. And Mr. Wiggles has no setup on, so rip for him. At a track like Abu Dhabi, it might not make a big difference having no setup on. The wings should be kind of vaguely similar, and you can still change the differential. So it may not be doom and gloom on this track. Looking at the standings, you're in 7th place right now, Wiggles, so it's not the end of the world. Nothing to suggest you had no setup on. Tidy is spare, an up and down season for him. Had a big DNF streak, but broke that with a 2 race point streak. A little bit of a lock up there into second chicane. Dayman goes 4th on the soft tyres. Flew improves again, up another couple of tenths to a 37.1. Got Hyper on an outlap. New set of tyres for him after a couple of invalidations. Hyper usually runs assists, but has just turned them off in preparation for the new season. So best of luck to you, Hyper, out there. Not easy doing no assists. A little bit wide there from Tidy's Bear. Gets away with it without an invalidation. Needs to keep it cool and collected on the final corner, which he does. Finds himself in 15th. At the moment, it's good enough to get him through. But Hyper needs to get a lap time on the board in the next 4 minutes. Otherwise, he will be out of the session. Drivers starting to retire if they think they're safe from this session. Tidy Bear going 4 tenths faster in the first part of this new lap for him. so we may see an improvement in a minute or so. Hyper just coming round to start his flying lap. Soft tyres on his car. What about Prev? Through Sector 2, you can see in the top right hand side of your screen, he's 3/10 up on his personal best. It's going to put him around about that 1 minute 37.6 mark that Ripley, that guy, and his teammate Appy are all around. Ross is on a new lap. Maybe trying to eke some confidence on those medium tyres. Excuse me. Just the wheels of tyres from Q1 and should be pretty safe there up in 9th place. What can Prev do? He's lost a bit of time through the final sector and no improvement for him. Drop back with Tidiest Bear, who is still 3/10 up through the middle part of this lap. Needs a bit more if he wants to get closer to Padge and Prev's time. And he goes half a second up, improves his time but not his place. Hyper meanwhile is struggling. Out on track, another invalidation, and we'll see how Ross is doing. He's 10th up in Sector 1 and he's 2/10 up in Sector 2. Very tricky chicane with the left, right, left. Similar to the Singapore Sling. If you have watched F1 long enough, you'd know that was the thing before they took it out for safety reasons. Nice and planted through Sector 3 so far. Curbs can be pretty horrendous, but Ross deciding to drop into the pits. What about Ripley? He is out of fuel, so Ripley can't improve for the rest of the session. That guy's in the pits, so he won't be able to improve. So it's down to Appy, Prev, Padge, Tidiest Bear and Hyper. Appy has invalidated, so he's backed off his time. Prev is also going slowly. Gearing up for one final run. Padge is on an out lap. Tidiest Bear is on an invalid lap, but should start a new lap very shortly. Hyper meanwhile is a little bit sideways in the hairpin and spinning. Padge coming around to start a new lap time. Hyper meanwhile will be out of this session and will be the only driver to leave us in Q1. Already on a 1 minute 38, which is the time he needs to get through, and won't get round for another lap time. It's a big job transferring from assists to no assists, so we wish Hyper all the luck in the world for mastering that no assists. I'm sure next season he'll be very competitive. So Q1 has finished, Hyper will be leaving us. Nothing to stop Appy, Prev and Padge going quicker. Padge is 2/10 up in the middle part of the lap. And if you missed it, 15 of you watching here tonight, welcome to you all. If you missed it right at the very start of the stream, we will be having an award stream to round out the season, a week on Thursday the 3rd of March. It'll be 7:30 PM GMT, that is UK time. And, oh, Padge a little bit on the curb there. And a bit of a spin, fortunate perhaps not to get eliminated from the session along with Hyper. Yeah, award stream will be dropping on Thursday the 3rd of March. There'll be multiple things you can vote on. For instance, there'll be a Driver of the Season award up for grabs for the No Assist division, the Assist Tier 1 division and the Assist Tier 2 division. So if you want to cast your vote, make sure to join us on that stream. The management will come up with select number of drivers, maybe 4 or 5 drivers that you can vote for based on who has had really good season. It doesn't have to be who wins all the most races, it could be the most consistent person, it could be the cleanest person, the person who doesn't get any penalties. So as it stands, we've got Fairley and Connor in the 1:35.7s and taking charge of this qualifying session early on. Most of them running medium tyres this session. Perhaps they want to save their soft tyres for Q2 and Q3, hyper dropping out with no time on the board. And we have absolutely loved streaming. But there are always fresh opportunities. If you fancy getting into streaming, if you've done it before, if you've never done it before and you fancy doing it, let us know. And whether that means you join me on Tuesday night and we can stream the races together, or whether you want your own little challenge, taking on one of the tiers. Whether you're new, if you want someone to guide you, we can do that. Or if you just want to learn at your own pace as well, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to get involved in streaming and commentating, the invite is there for you. Just let us know. And I'll say it for the final time this season. Q2 starts, and this is where strategy takes centre stage. Part of the breaking news in real life F1 recently is that in Q2 you will not have to start the race on the same set of tyres used to get from Q2 to Q3. But of course, in this current game, here and now, as we live and breathe, it still is a rule. So these drivers, whatever set of tyres they use to get from Q2 to Q3, they will have to start the race on that same identical set of tyres. Seems like a lot of people are using soft tyres right now. That guy and Kemmets are both out on track on the mediums. And with 12 other people equipping the red tyres, the soft tyres, it might be a slightly tall order for them two to get through on the mediums. Oh, Mr. Wiggles just going over the inside curb there. Could easily have thrown him off into the barrier and accidentally taking out a brake board. So that's not going to help the drivers. Of course, with no assist, you do rely on brake boards, so we do ask that no one takes out the brake boards. Hopefully that isn't a problem, taking out that specific brake board. I'm sure it was just an accident and not on purpose. Mr. Wiggles with DRS assistance charging down towards the very tight turn 6 and 7 chicane. Call assassin getting out of the way, oh, but not fully. That definitely would have affected Mr. Wiggles' time there. Mr. Wiggles could send that into the steward and heal for assassin to get a penalty there. Up to Wiggles if he wants to do that or not. Looks like he's carrying on with his lap. Seeing what he can achieve. A little bit wide there on entry and exit. Very nicely done. Penultimate corner. Final corner. Run wide. And a 37.8 is the current benchmark. Here comes Clements. Yellow tyres for him. And into the barrier. Not the best start there for Cummins, but still plenty of time for him to get a good lap time on the board and put himself through up into Q3. Flew is fastest at the minute on a 36.5. Appy is on a 36.7, so very close between the top two. Mr. Wiggles was impeded on his lap and has already proven he can go faster than that. So we'll wait to see what Mr. Wiggles can achieve. Ross, meanwhile, 35.8, only less than a tenth away from what Fairley and Connor were doing in Q1. So this is it's good news for Ross. Prev will come around to start a new lap time. He's invalidated, as has that guy, and Cool Assassin. So I'll go on board with Tidiest Bear, who's coming round sector 2 now. Very tricky braking zone. Turn 17. Turn 16 kind of flings you into turn 17, but you need to pick your braking point right. And one lock-up as well could ruin the next couple of corners for you. And running wide at the penultimate corner. So he may get this and next lap invalidated. No, he just got away with that lap being invalidated. He goes again. Ripley is backed off. And Prev has gone on to invalidate another time. Thank you for the follow, DXT Dylan71, appreciate that. Followers are going up. If we could hit 300 before the end of the week, that would be absolutely amazing. And unheard of that we would get 300 follows in 4 months. But that is what we're looking at, and we thank you all for your continued support. Many drivers out on track, but only 4 lap times have been set. So a lot of drivers struggling out there with track limits. Definitely going to be interesting to see who drops out and how many invalidations they've had. It could just be one run that they get to get through to Q3. But of course, if you have 2 or 3 clean runs in a session, it gives you the more opportunities to get through. That guy just running wide, and again. We've got a couple of cars coming up in front of that guy, so they need to be very vigilant they don't hold this driver up. Tidiest Bear sets a 38.9, drops into 5th place. That guy goes into 4th with a 37.4 on the medium tyres. Padge then goes 5th fastest, just a fraction behind that guy on his own 37.4. SLR Connor thought was on a lap, but he has backed off. Instead, Ryan Gets a nice little toe from Connor down the back straight. And that definitely will help him in his attempt to make it through to the next part of qualifying. AMS Fairley goes fastest by 6 and a bit tenths, a 1:35.1. Definitely looking like he has some good pace here tonight. Ryan taking a nice short run to the line, trying to cut the track as much as possible, and is rewarded with a 3rd place. SL O'Connor had a slow lap there, but he will go again. But we'll join SL O'Connor. Number of pole positions to his name this season, so has definitely proven to other people that he has the pace. And it's a purple sector 1 according to the track map. And he'll get a nice little slipstream here from his teammate AMS Fairley. Very useful having a teammate who's willing to tow you down the big back straight here. Flashbacks of Perez helping Verstappen at Abu Dhabi, trying to hold off Hamilton as long as possible. And SL O'Connor with a purple in sector 2. Oh, but just going over the middle curb there at turn 12. And all that hard work has been erased in one corner. SL O'Connor will have to go off and do another lap time. Of course, Q2, you don't want to spend too many laps on the same set of tyres, because, as we said, you do get through to Q3. You're going to have to start the race on the set of tyres you used to get there. Just running over the inside curb, Cool Assassin ruined his line into the second of that double left-hander. Didn't get invalidated, so this lap time will count. And it will be a 1:37.1, which puts him in 7th place right now. Dayman on the medium tyres has invalidated his current lap time, as has Prev. Kemmets is on an out lap. Ripley is coming to the end of his flying lap. See where he can put that Alpine. Let's not forget, of course, Alpine are in the Constructors title hunt. And Ripley goes 4th. And I'm sure Cool Assassin will be glad to see his Alpine teammate in the top 10. Only 6 points separate Mercedes at the top and Alpine in second, so will be very interesting to see where the Alpines and the Mercedes end up in quali. 3 minutes left of the session, still time for people to come out on track and go for one final run. Time is running out. Dayman, Prev and Kemmets all without a lap time on the board, and currently SL O'Connor is on a 2 minutes and 5 lap time, so he'll need to come out again. Thaddeus Bear's on an out lap. Prev really fortunate perhaps to not get invalidated out of that final corner, just running wide there you saw, but he is rewarded with a 1:36.6, which puts him in 7th, ironically just ahead of his teammate, which has been a common occurrence this season. Prev getting the better of that teammate battle with Appy. Kemmett's just running over the inside curb there at that chicane, but doesn't get away. Gets away with no invalidation. Pushing the limits of the track. Fairley has retired in the pits. That lap time more than good enough to get him through. And Cool Assassin also retiring, but he unfortunately is not quite so safe. 37.1 for him, which means that if two people can beat his time, he will be out of quali. Kemmons looks like a good lap from him. That guy's best lap time is on the medium tyres, but he is out on track right now. And a Ferrari of Prev diving out of the way of Kemmons, but not before perhaps distracting the Williams driver accidentally. And also Flew perhaps impeding Kemmons. This has been a very unfortunate lap, especially in the last sector, but he still manages to go third fastest. Wow, very impressive stuff there from Kemmons. And he'll need to make sure he doesn't impede Flew as Flew starts his lap. And Kemmons getting out of the way a little bit more effectively than Flew did a minute ago. Flew are resident Frenchmen in IRL. Many nationalities have graced our league, which we're very honoured by. We've got British, Scottish, French, Dutch, Belgian, American, and many others. Flew is a little bit down on his time, and unfortunately for Prev, Flew is in front of his car, and the checkered flag has fallen here. So Prev, after struggling to get out of the way of Kemmons a few minutes ago, now finds himself with an Aston Martin in front of him, who was going a lot slower. SL O'Connor improves his time and goes second fastest. He's safe. Padge has finished his session and he's out. Cool Assassin has been beaten by more than 2 drivers and he finds himself in 11th. Prev, even with that distraction, improves his time and his place, goes ahead of Flew, who was inadvertently blocking Prev, what it seems to look like anyway. Here comes that guy. He has a chance to knock Appy out. Flew and Appy have set the exact same lap time, but Flew is in 9th because he has set it first, I believe. Dayman can't beat APS Appy in the Ferrari, and he will start 11th on the grids. That is unless that guy can beat them round the final corner. Looking good, and it's P7. So APS Appy is dropping out. Tyres Bear is on an invalid lap time, and APS Appy is on a slow lap, which means, unfortunately, he has been knocked out on the exact same lap time as Flew. How unfortunate can you get? I'm sure once he realises, he will be absolutely gutted. Lost it over the line, said Damon. Well, unfortunate. A couple of tenths away from Q3. Been very impressed by Damon's progress recently. Had a great race in Jeddah last week. Unfortunately, someone in front of him on track crashed and he ran over some debris, got a puncture. The puncture then flung him into a wall where he retired. Very unfortunate. But a very strong performance last week from Dayman. So there you have it. Q2 is over for the final time in No Assist Tier 1 this season. AMS Fairley and SL O'Connor again at the top. Ross is into the 35s alongside them. Kemmons, Ryan Ripley, that guy, Wiggles, Prev, Flew, all making it through. APS Appy dropping out, unfortunately, with the same lap time as Flew, who makes it through. No rhyme intended. Dayman, Cool Assassin, Padge and Tidius Bear will be leaving us in the second part of qualifying 2. All of the top 10 using soft tyres, so that is the tyre they must be starting on come the race. And as Q3 starts, strategy takes a back seat now. Raw pace takes over. Hopefully no punches tonight. Yes, fingers crossed for that. And as we always see, everyone rushing out of the pits to try and get track position for the first run of Q3. We have Prev, who is just behind the Williams of Kemmets. He currently has all the track in front of him that he could ever want. Questions arise, of course, if you do actually want to be first out on track and have a car behind you. We saw the effects that SL O'Connor got with the slipstream from his teammate. So you need to make sure that you don't have a car close enough behind you that you're giving them a slipstream. We've got both Aston Martins, both Mercedes cars in the top 3, so we assume that they will be attempting to slipstream each other, or perhaps not. We've already seen it happen between Connor and Fairley, so we'll perhaps expect to see that again. As for the two Aston Martins, we don't know if they're on the same page. They're in two different parts of the track right now, so they won't get any effect from a slipstream from their teammate. Good evening to you, Padge. Are you on wheel tonight, Padge? Let us know if you've got any wheel problems. Oh, as I said that, going to take me a while to get used to my new wheel, hence the snail-like pace. I don't think your pace is that bad, actually. I didn't know you were on a new wheel. Well, best of luck adapting to the new wheel. You've been very unfortunate with your wheel dilemma. So certainly hope this new wheel is very good for you. Kemmets is first out to set a lap time, and he's got a car of Ripley, who actually may give him a bit of a tow down this back straight. If Kemmets realises, he does, gets a little bit of a tow, not massively effective. Got Prev behind Kemmets, and then we got one of the Mercedes cars. Fingers crossed, got the TM open wheel now. A Thrustmaster, I assume TM stands for. Open wheel now, take some adjusting. Of course it will. Kind to yourself. You don't get the results you're looking for straight away. Keep your chin up. I'm sure this nice season break is actually perfectly timed for you to adjust to that wheel. So Kemmets keeping it clean in Q3, as is Prev behind him, coming around to set the first lap times of this final Q3 session of the season on Tuesday nights, and it's a 36.3 for Kemmets, it's a 36.8 for Prev, and it's a 35.1 for SLR Connor. Again, just remarkable. Fastest time we've seen tonight. We do know AMS Fairley did a 1 minute 35.1 also, but he's gone a couple of tenths quicker than his teammate. 34.9 for AMS Fairley. Prev is in 6th on a 36.8. Ryan is on 5th place, 36.4, and Flew has done a 36.4, but a better 36.4. He is in 4th place. A lot of 4s going on. That guy is on a 37.8. Finds himself 7th place right now. Ripley and Mr. Wiggles still out on track. Ross has done a 35.3, and keeps himself in contention of maybe a surprise pole position. I say surprise, those two Mercedes have been very quick tonight. And of course, that is not a small gap between Ross and Clements. In fact, there is a whole second between them, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. Just indicating how fast Fairley, Connor and Ross are. But we did see Clements drop into good qualifying lap time last session. What can Ripley do? Comes across the line and goes fourth fastest, ahead of Clements. That's a good lap from him. What about Mr. Wiggles? He's coming round to finish a lap. And it's a 36.6 for Mr. Wiggles, who doesn't have a setup on. So not proving that no setup isn't terrible around here, actually. Not too bad, considering the lack of setup. Prev, this is invalid for him, so I'm sure he'll be on his way into the pits. Mr. Wiggles could easily be on a second run here, so we'll stay on board. A bit of a wiggle out of the hairpin, living up to his name. Mr. Wiggles used to be called Mr. Biggles, and lays the responsibility on me for him changing his gamer tag to Mr. Wiggles when I made some awfully bad puns a number of months back. It's easy to buy speed. Oh, okay. What type of speed are we talking, Dayman? Everyone in the pits then, we know Prev is on an invalid lap and he comes into the pits. Ripley and Wiggles still out on track. Flew and SLR Connor have exited the pits for their final runs, and out of the pits now comes Ryan to join them. Mr. Wiggles heads into the pits, following Ripley as well. And Ripley's just said in Discord that some of the brake markers are gone, so need to be careful out there for the brake markers to continue staying where they are. When you're driving in no assist, they are extremely important to have them. And hello to you, Zog. Races on assist tier 2, part of the final race of the season. The big question, of course, tonight is, will we see any donuts at the end of the race? You love to see donuts, especially on this track. Plenty of space to do so. Outlaps for 8 drivers then. Across the line comes SLR Connor and now Flew. Flew close enough to get a little bit of a slipstream behind that Mercedes. Might help him in his attempt to jump up to 4th place. Just needs 1/10 of a second, does Flew, to jump up to 4th place. Of course, SLR Connor is 2/10 away from provisional pole, so plenty to play for both of these two drivers. Ryan now coming across the line to start his new flying lap, as out of the pits comes Ripley, and he has plenty of track position to play with, so I'm sure he will be happy as Larry. How about a donut each lap of the race? Well, depends what donut we're talking about. If it's a food donut, I'm down, I'm game. Across the line comes that guy behind Clements. They're starting their new flying lap. Here comes AMS Fairley. Flew is 1/10 up in Sector 2, following SLR Connor, who looked to take a lot of that curb there through turn 13, so have to wait and see if his time is invalidated. Ross coming across the line now to start his new lap time. And now SL O'Connor getting out of the way of the Frenchman Flue, so he obviously did invalidate through turn 13 and may have ruined his best opportunity to get pole position here. Here comes Flue across the line, needs a 10th to go 4th, and he only improves by 9 milliseconds. So that is unfortunate for Flue. However, I'm sure he will go again. Ryan now coming out the final corner. He needs a small gain to go 4th, and he improves by 0.4 of a second. 136.0 for him. What about Kemmets? He has backed off his lap for whatever reason. It's not invalidated, but he has backed off. Ripley coming round to start a new lap time, making sure his tyres are nice and toasty. As he starts his new time, Kemmets will come round for another run. We have the Aston Martin of that guy coming round to finish, well, start a new lap. It's safe some ERS, so he will go again. What about AMS Fairley? It's a 34.8, improves by 1/10 of a second, and he improves his stranglehold on pole position. Could that be the time to beat a 1:34.888? And Fairley spinning through turn 3, reversing. You don't want to reverse back on track. But getting out of the way there. As coming to the end of the lap, we've got Flue. He's a 10th up in sector 2 now. You could see Flue jump up into 5th place here ahead of Ripley. Oh, but he loses a couple of tenths in that final sector and has to stay 7th. Mr. Wiggles coming round to do a slower lap time. Fractionally, the checkered flag has fallen, which means this is going to be the last run. Ryan is in the pits, he'll stay P4. Can SL O'Connor or Ross challenge for pole? Ross is going to be the first of the 3 to come round. Ripley is finished in P5. No improvement for him on his final lap. Still opportunities for Kemmets, Flue, Wiggles, Prev, and that guy to jump ahead. That guy finishes the session in 10th place. That's where he'll start on the grid for the race. Oh, and Ross has lost it out of the penultimate corner, and his fight for pole is over. It looks like he's good enough for P3 though. Did a similar thing to what we saw Padge do in Q1. Prev goes 8th fastest. AMS Fairley into the pits. SL O'Connor has invalidated, which means AMS Fairley takes pole position. Flue is invalidated too. The only person left to come across the line is Mr. Wiggles, and if he can get some small improvements, he could jump up a couple of places here. Across the line, and he goes up to 8th. Takes back that P8 from Prev. But for AMS Fairley, it is pole position number 11 this season. He's raced in, this is his 30th race this season, and 11 pole positions. Very impressive stuff. Averaging a pole position every 3 races. That's a really good point actually, Padge. Sometimes the game can give you a DSQ. Would have been a travesty. Indeed. So you have it, AMS Fairley confirmed 11th pole of the season, 1 minute 34. The only driver to drop into the 34s here tonight. Well deserved. SL O'Connor on the front row alongside, and I'm sure Connor's plan here is to make sure that Fairley stays ahead of Ross. Ross, meanwhile, is not an awful lot far away. He starts on row 2 alongside Ryan in the McLaren. who starts in 4th. Ripley is in 5th. Kemmons on 6th. Alpine and Williams for them respectively. Flew in the Aston Martin is 7th. Mr. Wiggles in the Haas in 8th. The first Ferrari of Prev in 9th. And the second Aston Martin of that guy is in 10th. So quali has come and gone, and it definitely seems like there are the 3 to beat. Fairley, Connor and Ross are front of the pack as it stands. But of course, 5-minute break for the drivers to just get used to their strategies, their setups, or lack of setups in Mr. Wiggles' case, and their fuel loads. Of course, tyre strategies will be key, especially if a safety car comes out. And of course, fuel loads can come into a big part of that as well. With all intents and purposes, I have to say it's been a hugely successful season, not only to the aforementioned almost 300 followers in 4 months, but to all the drivers who have achieved a pole position, including AMS Fairley, AMS MXR, APS Ria, Chelsea Chives, FRI John B in Assist Tier 1. 8 pole positions this season for him. Hyper in Assist Tier 2, he's got 5, Padge has 3, Ross has 2. Lecker Russ has 1, so does Millsy, so does Platty, Price, Ripley, Runamuck Luck, SL O'Connor with 6 pole positions this season. Spark 666 in Assist Tier 2 has 3, TD has 1, TME Dale and Lucifer have 2, Upcoming Karma, PSRY Jamming, all with a pole position alongside Ghost Tamino and XR Stappy. So congratulations to all our pole sitters, to all our race winners. This may take a little bit of time, but we do want to just stress how close this season has been. AMS Fairley with 5 race wins. APS Ria has 1. Chelsea has 1. Dr. Edward has 1, capitalising on some penalties from guys in front. John B, 10 race wins, the most of any this season. Very impressive stuff from him. Hissy, Hoy K, Appy, Hyper, Padge, Ross, James White, Jota, Kemmons, Millsy has 4, Wiggles has 1. Last week, his first race win of the season. Pete and Phil, also Prev as well, who races in Tuesdays. SL O'Connor has 3 race wins this season. That guy has 1. TME Dale and Lucifer have 2 apiece. Upcoming Karma has 1. Ryan has 2. And RP1 Ice also has 1. So congratulations to all those drivers for winning a race this season. Who needs to win this race to win the championship? Ross needs to win, otherwise he cannot win the championship. But Fairley needs an 8th place at a minimum for him to award the championship. So the pressure is all on Ross. Fairley doesn't need to win this race. All he needs to do is finish 8th place or higher, and he is automatically guaranteed the championship tonight. But for Ross, he needs to win, and I'm sure it's going to be a huge ask getting past those 2 Mercedes cars. And of course, Ross will need to rely on a bit of luck to ensure that Fairley doesn't finish in the top 8 or 9. As for podiums this season, well, that list is even bigger. Fairley has a whopping 13 podiums this season. MXR has 1. Greg Ria has 6. Zog, a couple of podiums. Chelsea, Dr. Edward, Flew, John B has 16 podiums this season. Issy 4. Hoy K has 8 before his unfortunate departure from the league. Someone has already pressed A. We'll carry on with this list. It's good to recognise talent. Appy and Hyper have 10 podiums apiece. Patch has 4. Ross has the most podiums of anyone on our grid this season. A whopping 21 podiums in 41 races. A podium every other race. That is really impressive stuff. James White, Jota, Kemmons, Lecker Russ. Millsy has 8 podiums this season. Wiggles has a couple. Pete, Phil, Platty, Prev, Price the Bees, Ripley, RPO Maverick, Runamuck Luck, Sam, Ken. SL O'Connor has 5 this season. Hicklin, Spark, Supermac, TD, Take Her Easy. That guy has 4. Good stuff from him. The Bullet has 3. Timmy Dale has 5. Lucifer and John both with 3 apiece. Karma, Cool Assassin, Ryan, Ice, MCR, Fifi, and that is all our list of podium runners. Can you believe it? So many impressive drives this season. We've seen some great overtakes as well, and some incredible wheel-to-wheel racing. Certainly we are going to miss the action on track. The race starting a little bit earlier than predicted and planned, but I'm sure everyone is here and ready to go. Top 12 all starting on soft tyres. The top 10 we already knew about because they got through to Q3 on the soft compound tyre. Appy and Dayman choosing the soft tyres for their first stint. As for Assassin, Padge, Tidiest Bear and Hyper at the back of the grid, they are all choosing medium compound tyres. So then, it seems as if the championship is Fairley's to lose, but of course if he DNFs, it could all be back into Ross's hands. Ross needs to win this race if he wants any shot at a championship. Mercedes lead Alpine by 6 points in the championship, so we'll be watching out for Cool Assassin and Ripley both in the Alpine cars. Of course the two Mercedes look unstoppable tonight, but if they have an unfortunate race, anything can still happen. All the pressure's on Ross, but the pressure's on Fairley to get a good start here and to start pulling a gap. We'll wait and see what happens into turn 1. It's a very short run, and you can go side by side a little bit through turn 1, so we're expecting to see some moves down the inside. And here come the lights for the final time on Tuesday nights in IIRL. The race is underway, and it looks like the two Mercedes have got away all right. The Alpine of Ripley has a really good start. He's already ahead of Ryan and looking to be alongside Ross into turn 1. Fairley's got a good start, and he is ahead and clear. Essel O'Connor in second. Ross is in third. Ripley flew. Ryan, as Ross looks for a sighter down the inside of Essel O'Connor. You have to think Ross needs to get this move done as quickly as possible. Oh, and a little bit of evasive action from Flew there, as it looks like Ripley was almost going to crash into him. Ryan is now taken back P5. Mr. Wiggles in 8th, very close to the back of that guy. All drivers jockeying for position. There goes Flew down the inside of Ryan, and that guy has to take to the escape road. Mr. Wiggles, meanwhile, has capitalised on that mistake, and he's up to 7th place. Cool Assassin, good start from him. Started in 13th, he's now up to 11th. He's doing a good job for Alpine, but still not in the points, which is crucial at this portion of the race. Looks like everyone has behaved themselves on lap 1. No silly moves. Padge has dropped back a little bit at the back of the field. Maybe a slight corner cut there from Mr. Wiggles. Looked like he took a bit too much curb there into turn 18, but we'll have to wait and see. And a brake board gone. Again, Mr. Wiggles, unfortunately, the culprit. AMS Fairley leads after lap 1, but not by an awful lot. Essel O'Connor is still with him, and Ross is right behind the two Mercedes. Tidiest Bear is into the pits as Flew picks up a time penalty on the very first lap. 3 seconds will be added to the end of his time at the end of the race. Hyper also into the pits following Tidiest Bear. They are both onto a new set of soft compound tyres and making sure they adhere to the rule of using a minimum of 2 different compounds, which only leaves Assassin and Padge out on the mediums. Stayman has also lost out to Padge. He's had a bit of a bad start to this race. Essel O'Connor takes the lead, which now leaves an interesting fight here between Ross and Fairley. Our 2 title protagonists are very close on track. Of course, the last thing we want is for these two to have a crash, or for one of these to be involved in a crash that completely ends their race and potentially dents or ruins their title chances here tonight. SL O'Connor is quick enough to stay with Fairley and has taken the lead. Ross, I'm sure, won't be panicking too much. As it stands, the title is in Fairley's grasp. Doesn't have to win, just needs to finish 8th or higher. Mr. Wiggles has passed Flew. In fact, they're fighting side by side now for P6. DRS is now enabled at the start of lap 3. Flew defending hard from Mr. Wiggles, that guy Kemet, Prev and Cool Assassin, and also Prev's teammate Appy in a battle. Oh, and there's Ripley out of the race. You just saw there in the side of your screen. Will that be a safety car? That is the big question. At the moment, there is no safety car, just a yellow flag. But that has massively dented Alpine's Constructors title hopes here tonight. Cool Assassin is up into the points thanks to his teammates' retirement. As it stands, Alpine need to outscore Mercedes, and Mercedes have a very strong grip on this race. Hyper into the pits, and a 5-second penalty as a nice little birthday present. It's not his birthday, but a nice little present there for Hyper. 5-second penalty. Very interesting to see what Team Mercedes are planning here. If they do have any plans. When you're following a car this far in front, like less than a second, you can get dirty air, which means you lose downforce, and it makes it very hard to control your car in the corners sometimes. As you can see there, Ross just with a little bit of a lift through turn 2. So surely, what would Mercedes were playing team tactics here? Surely Fairley would be at the front of the pack, where he doesn't get the dirty air, but it is SL O'Connor who leads. Fairley and Ross will both get DRS, which means we could see a change for the lead here. You can just see how powerful DRS is. He was 8 tenths behind at that straight, and now he's right on the back of the engine into the chicane. Ross just a little bit further back, and just made a mistake there through the chicane. May not get DRS here. I don't think Ross has DRS. No, he doesn't. And AMS Fairley now has taken the lead from his teammate. So Ross now needs to get back in DRS range of the two Mercedes. Flew and Ryan now having a fight. I think Ryan has made a small mistake, and Flew has capitalised. He's now up into 4th place. That guy has also overtaken Mr. Wiggles. So both Aston Martins ahead of the Haas. And we see Hyper there just at the final corner, ghosted, spinning round. Oh, and AMS Fairley has lost it. In turn 1, AMS Fairley has made a huge mistake, and he's spun the car. And not only that, but he has damage on his front wing. You can see on the right-hand side of his wing, left-hand side on that screen, he has front wing damage. This championship race has been up and down all season. It looked like it was going to be Hoy K, then Ross, then Fairley, and now it could be swinging back into Ross's hands here. AMS Fairley is still on the podium and will still claim the title as it stands. But he's got front wing damage. He's going to lose a load of time to Flew. behind. And if Fairley needs to make another pit stop here, this could be quite crucial. The safety car is out, and that, I assume, is for the bit of damage that Fairley has suffered, and there is debris on the track. SL O'Connor leads this race. Will he pit? And will Ross pit? AMS Fairley, we assume, will be pitting. He has damage, and it's a safety car, so he won't lose an awful amount of time here. But this title fight has really spiced up. On lap 5 of 28, SL O'Connor, our race leader, comes into the pits, as does Ross. Fairley is following suit, making sure he stays as close to his delta as he can without speeding. Lewis into the pits, as is Ryan. That guy, Prev, Cool Assassin, stays out, and he will inherit the race lead. And that is a bonus for Alpine at the moment. Alpine have now taken the lead in terms of the Constructors' Championship. Fairley is down in 8th place, not only because he had to spend an extra 5 seconds changing his front wing, but because his teammate also came in, so there was a double stack at Mercedes. Padge has stayed out, and now Padge is behind his teammate Ross. This is perfect for Ross. AMS Fairley is still in a championship winning place, but he's in the middle of a load of cars. Ross has a free shot here at getting past SL O'Connor. Safety car came out at the perfect time for Fairley. It certainly did, and it came out because of the damage he suffered. Just wondering how he got that damage. Definitely was at the end of turn 1, but we didn't see him off at the exit. It must have been onto the inside wall at the end of turn 1. I'm sure Fairley will clear it up in Discord later. Ross needs to just keep his head here. They've got a tyre advantage on Cool Assassin and Padge, his teammate. So Ross won't be under any immediate danger from Flew. Because Flew has to get past Padge first. But also, Ross needs to get SL O'Connor. And he needs to win this race. Otherwise, the championship cannot be won by him tonight. Everyone has pitted under this safety car with the exception of Assassin, Padge and Tidiest Bear. Tidiest Bear, of course, has already pitted. So it's pretty much a reset. Everyone is on medium tyres with the exception of Tidiest Bear and Mr. Wiggles, who has opted for a brand new set of soft compound tyres for this stint of the race. He will definitely be going on a 2-stop. Still waiting to see if those medium tyres can go the rest of the race, the full 22 laps they need to go. Definitely Cool Assassin and Padge need to pit. They must pit. And the safety car is coming in at the end of lap 7. Have a look at the positions gained. Obviously Assassin and Padge the most at the moment due to them not pitting. But Flew is up 2, Prev is up 2, that guy up 1, Tidiest Bear is up a couple, and Hyper ahead of Ripley, who has retired, unfortunately losing the rear end in turn 3. AMS Fairley is the big loser at the moment with 7 places dropped due to that pit stop debacle, and Clements has dropped 6 places from his starting slot on the grid. Cool Assassin, the only Alpine left, and they need to outscore Mercedes by 6 or more points if they want to win the Constructors' Championship, which at the moment is not the case. Mercedes will be taking home Constructors as it stands, and Fairley will be taking home Drivers because he is in 8th place, which is exactly what he needs. Safety car is in this lap. Penalties for Flew, Wiggles and Hyper. Hyper gets an extra 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. Cool Assassin's job as the effective safety car is now live. He can go for it whenever he wants. And he goes for it out of this final corner. Hyper with a 3-second time penalty, second of the night, for multiple warnings. And we see Dayman in the background sideways. Flew and Padge are side by side. Flew has got the better of the Alfa Romeo driver in turn 2, and the Frenchman is flying here tonight. Meanwhile Ross, oh, and Ross is round! This is bad news for Ross. Flew is also round. Don't know how Flew lost it. It looked like Ross was going for a move on Estelle Corner into that chicane, and it looks like he's just lost the car. Maybe there was contact we don't know about. But Ross is round, and Ross is out of the points. Fairley is up into 5th place now. Oh, he's going side by side with Padge, Prev and Ryan here. He's backed out to avoid collision. That guy's round the outside, and it's a 6-car mosh pit right now in Abu Dhabi. Fairley has dropped to 8th, but of course that won't be meaningful because Ross is now out of the points. And this could easily end in a full-blown retirement for someone. These cars are super close right now. Cool Assassin leads this race. Estelle O'Connor is behind in 2nd. Ryan is in 3rd. Padge is in 4th. Prev in 5th. Then we have Wiggles, Fairley, that guy, Clements, Appy, all in the points, but Tidiest Bear and Ross are on their tails. Ross's job will be to make his way through this gap, through this field, as quickly as he can. Wiggles and Prev going side by side through Sector 3, and there's a couple of drivers round. Tidiest Bear is round, and also I think Flew, maybe some contact between them two in Sector 3, and here comes AMS Fairley down the inside of Prev into turn 1, and he's got that move done. Oh, and there goes Wiggles, Padge, sorry, into the wall. It won't bring out the safety car. He's still in the race. Flew and Bear into the pits. So they must have some damage of some description. Fairley is back up into 5th place. Cool Assassin is still in the lead of this race, doing well to fend off SLR Connor. The hopes of the Alpine Constructors title is still alive as long as Assassin can win this race. But there goes SLR Connor into the lead. Ross is now past Appy. Ross is in 9th place. Fairley is in 5th place. So Ross is not too far away here from his title contender. And there goes Ross up into 8th, ahead of Clements. As a neutral, this race has been thoroughly entertaining already. Great action, thrills and spills, early retirements, early safety cars, and title rivals making mistakes and dropping down the field. But still, plenty of opportunity for this race to come back into the hands of both Fairley and Ross here. SLR Connor leads for 1.4 seconds now, and there goes Ross down the inside of that guy. That guy swinging it around the outside of turn 1, maintaining 7th place, making it difficult for that. Oh, making it difficult for Ross to get past. And Ross ends up going into the back of that guy. I just wonder if that guy, oh, and Clements is out, possibly collected in that crash. I just wonder if that guy lifted off through turn 3 and Ross was just a passenger really. Not much he could do. But when you're running that close, incidents are aplenty. There's another safety car out, which will definitely aid Ross, as he may very well have damage. And Kemmons could easily have been caught up in that crash between that guy and Ross. Wow. I mean, I don't even want to say anything at this point, because anything could still happen, and anything I say could easily be overturned in the splittest of seconds. Another safety car is out. This of course brings Flew back into the race after his safety car restart went a bit awry. The clock is now reset. Cool Assassin still yet to pit, and he does need to pit in this race, choosing to use this as a perfect opportunity. He will need to go on to either the soft or the hard compound tyres. Let's have a look which one he chooses. Mr. Wiggles and Ross both come into the pits. Onto the soft tyre comes Cool Assassin, and will have a distinct tyre advantage over the rest of the field. Wiggles is onto mediums, as is Ross. Front wing is changed, and Ross will be in 10th place on this safety car restart. Reminder, Ross needs to win. If Ross doesn't win, he can't win the championship. And even if Ross wins, he needs AMS Fairley to finish in 9th place or lower. If Fairley finishes in 9th and Ross finishes in 1st with a fastest lap, then they will be tied on points. But of course, AMS Fairley, in order to guarantee his win without any ties or any countbacks, will need to finish in 8th place or higher, which he currently is doing. Hyper struggling. No-nos in the final corner. He comes into the pits. This may keep the safety car out another lap. Hyper has just moved to no assist. So Hyper retires from the race. We do wish Hyper the very best, adapting to no assists. It's not easy, and I'm sure we all have crashed out when we've made that transition. We hope for a smooth transition for Hyper. Padge also on a new wheel. He's in a transition phase also, so we wish him the very best. Tidy as bear. 12th place for him. Possible for some more points if he can stay within 3 seconds of Flew. Ross in 10th place, and title dreams dented here tonight. Looked up when he was in 2nd place behind Connor, and Fairley was down in 8th place, but since the last safety car restart, it's all changed around, and now it is swung back in AMS Fairley's favour. Mr. Wiggles, 9th place with a time penalty. Called Assassin did a great job on that first stint. Now has the best tyres on the field. Can he use them to jump himself up onto the podium? APS Dayman, nice race for him in the Haas. 7th place, that guy. In 6th place, leading Aston Martin car. And we've got the 2 Ferraris. PrevNL, 4th and 5th. And then our championship leader has one hand on the title. AMS Fairley in 3rd place. Ryan, great race from him, capitalising on some mistakes from those ahead of him. and pit stops, of course. He's in second place and looking a good contender for a podium here tonight. Aston O'Connor hasn't put a foot wrong so far. Good qualifying, qualified in second. Has led many laps of this race. Overtook Cool Assassin before this safety car came out. Looked in control. The safety car now. This restart will be a test for him. Can he build that gap that he once had? Will Connor be helping his teammate Fairley in this stint of the race? Ross is back in P10. Connor can try and hold Ryan up here, allow Fairley to go to the front of the pack and build a gap. Will we see some team orders coming in at Mercedes? Looks like Connor's gone for it out of the penultimate corner. Safety car is into the pits, which means on lap 13 we get underway again at Abu Dhabi. Title decider will be Fairley in against Ross, and the Alpine's hopes of spoiling the Mercedes party look pretty bleak at the moment. Alpine need to outscore Mercedes by 6 points. At the moment, Mercedes are too strong on the podium. Looks like no funny business up and down the field on this safety car restart. Everyone behaving themselves. Called Assassin this past Dayman, although I'm sure he won't mind me calling him Coolman. Side-by-side action down the back straight. We got two Hasses next to each other and going side by side. I think Dayman in fact has just let Wiggles through his teammate. Ross is up into 8th place. Good restart from him. Now he finds himself on the back of Cool Assassin. Nice fight here for P4. Prev leads his teammate and that guy in the Aston Martin. Ross's job will be to close that gap and get past those three as quickly as possible. Aston O'Connor leads by 1.5 seconds, not choosing to let his teammate through, instead driving away from Ryan so that Ryan can't get the DRS advantage. Mr. Wiggles, another time penalty for him, he's down in 9th. Dayman now joins him in the penalty gang. Thaddeus Bear has spun at the final couple of corners and he drops to last place. Ross is now past that guy in the Aston Martin for P6. Next up for Ross is the Ferrari duo of Prev and Appy, who it is well documented they work together to maintain track position. They did some excellent defending at Netherlands. There goes Ross trying to nudge a wheel alongside Appy, let him know that he is there and he is going to get past whatever it takes. No DRS, just the power of overtake and driver skill right now. Prev a little bit cheeky, pulling out in front of Ross, and Ross didn't really have an awful lot of room. Appy and that guy, a bit of contact, but no harm done. And now comes Ross side by side with the second Ferrari of Prev. Good battle behind. Appy's going side by side with a couple of drivers there. Ross fighting hard to get past Prev. Prev, the staunch defender that we know he is. Won't be easy, for Ross to get past, but he is trying his best. Aston O'Connor leads Ryan by 2.2 seconds. Race win looking increasingly Connor's tonight. AMS Fairley is within DRS range of Ryan. This is lap 3 after the safety car restart, so DRS is now enabled and Fairley has a good opportunity to get onto the second step of the podium here. Prev defending hard from Ross, who is finding out firsthand just how difficult it is to overtake this Dutchman out on track. have to say, out of all the drivers I've seen in this league, I have to say Prev is the best defender, hands down. He has held off multiple people on multiple occasions where it didn't seem like it was possible. Unfortunately, with that DRS zone, wasn't able to defend there. Ross is up into 4th. He's doing his job very well. But unfortunately for for Ross, AMS Fairley is in a fight for 2nd, and Ross needs Fairley out of the points ideally. That guy swapping places with Appy, who's also in a battle with Flew, and Padge. And Appy has spun at the triple apex chicane. Wonder if there was a bit of contact. Looks more than a spin. Cool Assassin has also had a marvellous restart. He's up into 5th place now and on the best tyres on the grids. Oh, and there's a Haas going sideways into the wall. Mr. Wiggles copying Padge and Ross in qualifying, doing exactly that. Very easy to do. Prev comes into the pits, as does Mr. Wiggles with that front wing damage. No safety car will be brought out because of that. Padge now up into the points. Oh, and that guy's lost it. Very fortunate that he ghosted, otherwise he would have took out his teammate in the process. And you just saw there, as soon as you get sort of worn tyres, going through turn 3 and turn 4 can be quite tricky, especially on the mediums, which are not as grippy as the soft tyres. And fortunately for that guy, he is still in the points and in the race. AMS Fairley now take 2. Can he get past Ryan? Got past him before, but Ryan got him back on this straight last lap. AMS Fairley, straightforward move, but it's not done yet. Ryan is still on the engine. Ross is 4.3 seconds behind these two. The gap is stabilised out front at 2.3 seconds. Padge gets another time penalty to his name. Lap 17 now of 28. Estelle O'Connor just coming around to start 17 now. Dayman with a 3-second time penalty. Fairly trying to drop Ryan as quickly as possible before this DRS zone comes up in a few corners' time. He's almost got it, has Fairley, and if he does, it looks like curtains are going to be drawn. Gap out front is still 2 and a bit seconds, so Estelle O'Connor is maintaining the pace very well here. I'm sure Fairley would love a little bit of DRS from his teammate, not to overtake perhaps, but just to try and build a gap to Ryan behind. But as it stands, it looks like Fairley is doing a good enough job of dropping Ryan out of his DRS range. APS Appy now going for the move on Padge. Appy now back up into 7th place after his moment a couple of laps ago. AMS Fairley getting a 3-second time penalty at the moment, not crucial. He may lose a couple of places to Ryan and Ross in the long term, but AMS Fairley doing more than enough to win the championship here tonight. Estelle O'Connor leads by 1.9 seconds, lap 18 of 28. Ryan is 1.5 seconds behind and on the podium. Ross is 4.2 seconds behind Ryan. Ross has the most podiums of anyone in IRL this season. Wonder if he can make it podium number 22 here tonight. Cool Assassin having a good race and has a nice healthy gap on Flew. 6 seconds he has on Flew, who has a time penalty to his name. Cool Assassin doing really well here for a P5. That guy and Tidiest Bear both retiring. That guy into the pits to retire, whereas I think Tidiest Bear has crashed out on track because there is yet another safety car. How the tables have turned once more. Fairley will now be bunched up with the pack, and his 3-second time penalty now actually means something. 10 laps left of this race. AMS Fairley should still win the championship, all things considered. However, anything is still possible. In fact, the top 3 here all probably will pit for soft tyres, which might lead an opportunity for Ross to stay out and inherit the lead, which he desperately needs. Indeed, Connor comes into the pits, as does AMS Fairley. Ryan also. And interestingly, Ross deciding to follow suit. Cool Assassin also coming into the pits. Flew will follow them all. APS Appy on old mediums will also come into the pits. Padge will follow suit too. This could be the most repeated sentence of the evening if Dayman decides to copy the rest of his driver colleagues, which indeed he does. Prev, he's on a new set of soft tyres, so doesn't need to pit here, and indeed does stay out on track, as does Mr. Wiggles. For those beady-eyed viewers, you'll notice that Ryan is now back ahead of AMS Fairley, the 2 Mercedes double stacking, which means that Fairley had to wait for Connor to finish his pit stop before he could do his. And that now means that Fairley is directly ahead of his championship rival Ross, which means we could see round 2 between these two in the final race of the season. Let's not forget Fairley has a time penalty, and with the field now bunched up, that does mean something. Excuse me. SL O'Connor has been in charge of this race for a large portion. Ryan's driven very well, and if he finishes on the podium, no one would be surprised, and very well deserved. Ross looking strong tonight, looking to upset one of those top 3. Again, another reminder, Ross needs to win this race. If he doesn't win this race, he can't win the championship. And Fairley, regardless of whether Ross wins, if he finishes in the top 8, or maybe even top 9, depending if Ross gets the fastest lap, Fairley will be crowned champion. In the Constructors, Mercedes lead Alpine by 6 points, which means Alpine of Cold Assassin needs to outscore both Mercedes cars, which at the moment looks a very tall order. So Mercedes definitely looking like they could be Constructors champion at the end of the race. Prev is into the pits for a new set of tyres, and that is going to cause this safety car to be out another lap. Now's a good opportunity to answer Alraz's question. Has Fairley more wins or Ross? Let's have a look. Fairley has won in Bahrain, in France, in Britain, in Belgium, Netherlands. So that is 5 wins. Ross has won at USA, Brazil and Australia. So only 3 race wins for Ross and 5 race wins for Fairley. That means that a 9th place finish for Fairley is enough. However, I'm sure Fairley will not be thinking about that. As I always says, just needs to avoid any silly mistakes, avoid any unnecessary bits of contact. In fact, we did see that from Fairley. You can rewatch it on the stream later on, when it's posted on this Twitch channel. There was a good fight between 5 or 6 cars, and Fairley was one of the 4 cars going side by side, and he actually backed out very early before the braking zone, just to avoid any silly mistakes and to make sure that his car stays in the running. So Fairley is taking this with extreme caution. That doesn't mean that he's not going to lie down. If Ross goes side by side with him, I'm sure we will see the normal Fairley maintain to race him. Maybe I'm wrong. Definitely this final 8 laps are going to be edge of the seat stuff. It's a tall order for Ross, but this safety car has thrown him a lifeline. SLOC on a leads away, starts lap 21. We have 8 laps left of the No Assist Tier 1 season on Tuesday nights here at IIRL. It's been a thoroughly fascinating season, and it's not even done yet. We don't even know who's going to win both championships. SLOC on a leads Ryan. Both of these are on medium compound tyres, by the way, and the 4 drivers behind them, Fairley, Ross, Assassin and Flew, are all on soft compound tyres, so they have a tyre advantage to boot. Here comes Fairley down the inside of Ryan at the hairpin. He's got that move done. Of course, no DRS until lap 3 of the safety car restart. But Ross is right behind Fairley here. SL O'Connor already has that 1 second gap that he needs to stay out of DRS range ahead of his rivals in this race. Side by side go Ross and Ryan. The former of those two getting the better, and up into 3rd place. Onto the podium goes our title challenger Ross. What Ross needs to do here is make sure he does not get a penalty. A time penalty for Ross here would completely ruin his chances at winning this race. Let's not forget, Connor's on the medium compound tyres. He is going to struggle in terms of pace, but towards the end of the race his tyres will come back to give him a little bit of an advantage on his teammate, on Ross, on Assassin and Flew. Connor's not out of this yet. He can still win this race, and the new fastest lap proves my point. No DRS on this lap. Ross is going to have to get past Fairley the hard way. Prev into the pits. Sparks flying. We've seen people flying off the racetrack tonight on multiple occasions in quali and in the race, and we've seen some incredible pace and some incredible fights and amazing drives this season, and we will definitely miss the action on Tuesday nights. I've been absolutely blessed to be able to call the action, but in a few weeks' time we will have another season for you. Here comes Ross, picking the outside line. He is going for it. A little bit of wheel contact. Ross is forced over the curb, where he gets a 3-second time penalty and a bit of oversteer, which he had to correct. He's in the barrier. He's got damage, and that will be most likely the title fight over. Make up your own minds on the incident. A little bit of contact there between Ross and Fairley. To me it looked like Fairley was suitably ahead and had the corner, but Ross had to be aggressive, and in the end I think it just has cost him. It's been a valiant effort from Ross. Unfortunately for him, I think he's just going to have to settle for 2nd place in the championship. And Ross does retire from the session. It's been a fascinating title fight, and it's taken till lap 23 of 28 of the final race of the season to decide it. But AMS Fairley is your driver's champion for the no assist tier. Even if he DNFs, even if he doesn't finish in the points, which isn't possible right now, he still will be crowned champion, and a race win on the last race of the season for him would be the icing on the cake. Be interesting to see if these two have any team orders going on at Mercedes. But of course it's not done for these two. They've still got the Constructors to win. Cool Assassin is up in 4th place right now and is on the back of Ryan for a podium slot. Cool Assassin has the weight of the whole Alpine team on his shoulders here tonight, and I have to say he's had a fantastic race. Seems like his strategy calls have been really good, really positive, really attacking as well, and it seems to be paying off. AMS Fairley into the leads and the new fastest lap of the race, putting the icing on the cake. So O'Connor definitely deserves the podium here tonight. He has led pretty much every lap, has been in control of this race. AMS Fairley, through a couple of safety cars, has been brought back into this race. But certainly we all know that Fairley is incredible in terms of race pace. And that has brought him the championship. Mr. Wiggles and Appy having a nice little fight for 6th here. Appy without a time penalty. AMS Fairley and Nestle O'Connor in the good old Silver Arrows formation, going around Abu Dhabi to finish off the season strongly with perfect amount of points, 44 max you can get. And Flew is retired. Oh, and that is a big crash there, out of the double left into the wall, tyre off, driver out, and also safety car is now out. Will we see anyone pit? Mr. Wiggles' pit. He wants a new set of soft tyres. He's got effectively a free pit stop. He's overtaken by Padge, but he will stay out ahead of Dayman and Prev. Good evening, take her easy. Hope you are, mate. Tay involved in a Constructors fight of his own on Sunday night. Dayman with a drive-through penalty. Wiggles almost crashing into the pit exit there. That would have been funny. And avoiding his teammate. Nine runners left. Everyone will score points. But the only thing we know, AMS Fairley is driver's champion. Safety car is out, and fitting that we have a very late safety car to finish off the season. Question is, will we see some donuts from Mr. Fairley? Did a Latifi? Well, you'll get no abuse from here. You're too busy watching the stream when you're out racing. That's hilarious. I guess I'll take that as a compliment. Don't worry about it, Flu man. You've had a good race as well. Good pace. A couple of incidents got caught up in. Don't know if they were your fault or not, but that's not for me to judge anyway. Yeah, you had some good pace out there. Looked like possible podium on the cards at a couple of points. Padge doing well, up in P5, although Appy behind. And Mr. Wiggles pitting for new soft tyres. Wiggles or Appy could go for fastest lap here on the final lap of the race and attempt to steal the cherry on top of AMS Fairley's iced Victoria sponge cake. I'm sure Fairley won't mind too much. To finish first, you have to finish. Indeed. Indeed, but it's not over. We've got another season coming up. Safety car is in this lap, which means we'll get 2 laps of racing. A bunch of drivers need to catch up to the field. Dayman, Wiggles, Happy and Prev. 2 Haas cars and the 2 Ferrari cars need to close that gap as quickly as possible, otherwise they're not going to have any action in the last 2 laps. AMS Fairley, this will be a couple of victory laps for him. He may not win the race due to that 3-second time penalty he has. SL O'Connor, the safety car massively benefits him due to Fairley's penalty. In fact, Fairley may not end up on the podium here with Cool Assassin waiting in the wings as well. Fairley's gone for it now, and he's got a little bit of an advantage on his teammate. You may see Connor attempting to back up Ryan and Assassin here to keep Fairley on the podium, but that remains to be seen, of course. 2 final laps in this season. The championships are now decided unless both Mercedes cars crash out in the last couple of laps. And that won't happen because there's no such thing as a commentator's curse. And if it does happen, okay, I'll concede that there is a commentator's curse, but it won't happen. Fairly trying to not let Connor get his slipstream. Fairly still fighting for the race win here. Needs a 3-second gap on his teammate in the last lap and a half. And I'm going to keep my eyes out on the track map for anyone who may or may not be slowing down to do some donuts. As we said, it's been a fabulous season. Go and re-watch the 5-minute break from this stream. I've mentioned all the pole sitters, all the race winners, and all the podium people from this season. And there are lots of people who have achieved one or all 3 of those things. It's been a very successful season, and we're looking forward to season 2. And of course, we got 2 Abu Dhabi races this week. Thursday night for Assist Tier 1. The championships are both decided there, so there will be no surprises in who wins. You may even see a new first-time winner with people doing donuts off the track. But on Sunday night, the Constructors fight is still in the balance. So join us on Sunday night to see the conclusion of that championship. Oh, and Fairley's lost it. Oh dear. Just on the curb there at the chicane. He has lost it. He won't get the race win. And thankfully he was ghosted, otherwise that might be a dangerous re-entry. Happy side by side with Mr. Wiggles through the hairpin. SL O'Connor is going to win this race now on the final lap. This a perfect opportunity for Fairley to just go ahead and do some donuts. We all want to see it. Oh, Appy forced to avoid Wiggles there, gets a time penalty. may cost him a position to his teammate Prev on the line. But there we go. Dayman is off at the final corner. Thought he might be doing some donuts for us, but he is on track. Going very slowly. He's thinking about it. I know he is. I know he's watching the stream as well. Yes, there we go. Maybe I've just coerced him into doing some donuts there, but obviously we don't want to get him disqualified as well. And he will get the final lap of the race as well. Essel O'Connor comes around the final corner. He's thoroughly deserved this win tonight. He wins the race in Abu Dhabi. Ryan on the podium. Cool Assassin, great podium for Alpine, but it's not enough. Mr. Wiggles heads home in P4. Prev is in P5, and here's AMS Fairley. Unfortunately, we can't see it on the stream, but we'll go on board in his TV pod. Some donuts there for AMS Fairley. Victory donuts. AMS Fairley is your driver's champion for no assist tier 1, and thoroughly deserved. Some great pace. 5 race wins in this tier, and some very strong performances in this season, and I'm sure next season he'll be fighting for some more titles. Dayman will need to finish the final lap of the race. Mr. Wiggles has a 20-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags for some reason, so we'll have to, maybe that's what we call a ghost penalty. And Dayman getting a 10-second penalty for cutting the chicane. Well, it's been a thoroughly fascinating season. Fairly crossing the line to finish in 8th place, which was what he needed anyway. But due to Ross's move earlier on, he retired and the title fight was over. Mercedes are now officially Constructors champions, so congratulations to Essel O'Connor and AMS Fairley. Essel O'Connor finishing in 1st place, making this his 4th race win of the season. As for Ryan, this is podium number 4 this season, so congratulations to Ryan. As we see Dayman. There's only 37 seconds left of this session, so make sure you cross the line, mate. I don't want to see you disqualified. As for Cool Assassin, this podium makes it podium number 3 this season. No, thank you, Alrays and Flu. Thank you for all of your racing, for Alrays for your streaming and your part in management. Really appreciate everything you've done for the league, not only as a racer but for those in management. It's been a thoroughly successful season. Essel O'Connor wins your Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with what could be the record time of 53 minutes here tonight. But AMS Fairley wins the championship and the fastest lap, just to put the icing on the cake. Driver of the day, well, driver of the day. I have to say, under all intents and purposes, Cool Assassin has had a great race. Essel O'Connor's had a great race too. I'm going to give it to both of them. They both, within their own right, are exactly deserving of their results here tonight, and they've driven the socks off their cars this evening. So your 2 drivers of the day, Essel O'Connor and Cool Assassin. Of course, massive congratulations to Fairley for the Drivers' Championship and to Mercedes for the Constructors. I'll just scroll down there for the benefit of the results. Couldn't resist the donuts, mate. We love to see them. We love to see them. and you know, yeah, it makes the race a bit longer at the end, but we love to see them. We don't see them all the time, so it's great to see them. I'll say thank you, mate. Thank you. All the plaudits go to all the drivers out there. They make the races fun and entertaining with all the racing and the action. So thank you all to everyone who has been a part of this no assist tier championship. I've absolutely loved commentating. I'll be back again for Tuesday night next season. Remember, on Thursday the 3rd of March, a week on Thursday, we will have our first ever award stream. There's going to be some awards, and you guys are going to vote on who wins. It's not my decision, it's your guys' decision. The power is in your hands. So join us for not only the other 2 races this week on Thursday and Sunday, but on Thursday the 3rd of March there is going to be an award stream, and not too shortly after that I imagine will be the reveal stream for season 2. So plenty for you guys to look forward to. Thank you for the new follows today for Gladiator, Levi and Dylan. Thank you all for your continued support, and from me, from season 1, I bid you farewell.